What is up, guys? You're watching the All-Terran group of Ryung, Pult, and Alive. And if the first two games are a setup for what's to come, we're in for a treat tonight. Already two fantastic games from two fantastic players, and the players are ready. I'm hitting the start game button.
You know, I have to be honest. If I was alive watching these guys,
Yeah.
and you're like, I gotta play the winner of this,
Yeah.
I would be trying to dig into my bag of cheeses because these guys are so absolutely amazing at just a Marine tank tactical game. It's just a true treat to watch, and this is a map that can provide some of the most awesome tactics.
Elshir Vestige, a map with so many different attack paths, so many different corridors, so many extra bases that are pretty far away from you. Split map situations can happen, and I'm certain we are definitely in for a treat for this game number 3, where these two players are tied 1-1. I have the pleasure of introducing our Red Terran player in the bottom right-hand location. Representing CM Storm, he is Pult. His opponent in the top left, hailing from Korea and representing Team Axiom. He lost Game 1, but came back to win an electrifying Game 2 on Neoplanet S. Can he continue through in Game 3? He is Ryung.
You know what's absolutely amazing about Pult is he's a full-time university student as well.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's kind of like, how are you this good at StarCraft while you're going to university in Texas, right? That's just insane. Especially Austin is one of the more prestigious universities. It's not like he's sleeping through it. No, it's a very tough university. But this guy is just a true genius.
I feel like I'm obligated to like say you're wrong because I went to Texas A&M,
Yes.
which you might know is like the complete like rival school of the University of Texas. But I'll keep my professionalism intact and say yes, Pult does attend a very prestigious university. You know, who knows? Maybe finals have finished for him, so he's been able to attribute more time to StarCraft too. But you know, his general day, his school day ends at like 3. So you know, after 3, you could definitely practice a good amount of time. But
He
again,
doesn't need to study. He's too smart.
yeah, Pult he's a wizard, man. I mean, in the interviews, like I'm like, hey, you need an interview? He's like, no, I'm fine. What's up? And I'm like, oh, but hey. No, he's like really good at English. He's of course taking classes there at the University of Texas, like in English. So, really smart guy, and perhaps wanting to represent USA. I know a lot of people looking for a representative of the United States in this tournament.
He's definitely up there as far as looking for someone who's, you know, very culturally involved here and also exceptional at StarCraft 2.
Yes.
And he's done the same build all 3 games. This is a very, very good build. A lot of the top game players always do this. It's, you know, you get the gas kind of late, so you just get a reactor within the command center. But Ryung went gas first this game, which is a little bit different. So his tech is very fast. Last game, he did go for the Cloak Banshee, but it wasn't a gas first build. So it was like a normally timed Cloak Banshee. This game, whatever tech he decides to go towards, looks like it's probably going to be Widowmine drop build, is going to be a little bit faster than Pult might anticipate.
I also like how, remember last game, he bunched all of his 3 main production facilities close together. Pult scanned, he knew exactly what was going on. Here we're seeing him sneak that starport at the bottom side of his base, so it's a little bit harder for Pult to scan it and know exactly what's going on. But you know, considering the lack of the second gas here from Ryung, I do expect this to be an expansion build, but just going for a very fast medevac, probably going to pick up 2 medevacs and a few Marines. And then try to get some aggression done. So not going completely all in, not doing a ridiculous amount of investment into this push, just trying to catch Pult off guard a little bit.
That's right. Of course, one thing, as a Terran player or as any player, you do want to spread your tech buildings apart against a Terran. But if you're doing a build like last game where you have to do all these add-on transfers, then of course that's more important. But if you're just doing Widow Mines, Medevacs, units that don't need add-ons, then of course you can go ahead and spread those buildings out. And he's going to poke in the front here. He's not going to try to go up the ramp, but he's going to basically put a Widow Mine and a bunker contain. This is going to be very annoying for Pult to break. So even though Ryung's going to be expanding later, he'll probably actually have his natural setup earlier.
You know, he actually, you know, as we're talking about, he actually took his second gas. So, wanting to invest, I should say, into more on one base here.
Oh, if he can get it. Oh, is he going to try to break it? The Widowmine gets a big hit, but there's still too many Marines.
Does not want that bunker to get up. Might scan. Oh. Well, we did see a scan, but he scanned across the map instead of that Widowmine, which is fairly. Oh, that's annoying. The Widow Mine just
He's
got
like,
burrowed.
You're not going to scan my Widow Mine? Well, I'm going to put it right where your command center wants it to be. Now you better scan.
Yeah, now he's going to have to.
but
he was not able to scan his opponent's starport.
Oh, the main is empty. The medevac's coming in here.
Oh, Widow Mine's getting dropped down, going to burrow into the ground, and Ryung doing a great job in this game, really trying to stretch Pult apart. Pult scrambling to try to deal with this SCV. He's got to be careful. All right. I think he should be okay.
Yes.
Yes. That medevac might be...
But, you know, he has to use 2 scans now, because he has to kill this one in his main, he has to kill the one underneath his natural. And like I mentioned before, you know, Ryung, yes, he expanded a little bit later, but now he's double expanding. And Pult's having to spend a lot of his extra income that he would have gotten from the faster second orbital on scans instead of mules.
That Widow Mine is about to expire. It's, well... Wow. Very surprising misstep there from Pult. Not realizing that was gone, I guess.
Well, he does have SCVs.
Yes.
So they're kind of meaty. They're not like probes and drones. They can take the splash from Widow Mine and kind of shake it off.
Sure.
But it still, of course, is annoying. He used his first scan to take out the one in his natural, which I guess he felt was a priority. And who knows? I mean, he only lost one more SCV, so it's not like the biggest deal. Banshee coming in now, but the Widow Mine's almost recharged.
Oh, it's about to recharge here. The Banshee is going to take... Oh my gosh, it got barely out of range, but it might go back into range here.
I think he knows the Widow Mine's there.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
It was interesting though. He must have had a very good sense of the timing of it, of the charge.
That was literally a split second.
And he flew right over it.
Yep.
I wonder if he counted from when it exploded earlier. Of course, you know, you can look at the game.
You know
timer.
what? After those first 2 games, I wouldn't be surprised, to be completely honest.
You know,
some people are like, no, there's no way.
No, these guys are just that good.
Yeah.
And Pult's saying, you know, the Widow Mine drop was really annoying.
I want to try that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
This is actually, he's done this a couple times this game, where Ryung said something, he's like, you know what? that's
a good idea, Ryung. I'm going to try that out now.
I feel like Ryung's a little bit ahead this game. Faster third orbital, he's got double E-bays going against Pult's single E-bay, and unlike the last game, Pult's not much faster with the first upgrade.
Oh, igniting the afterburners coming in, then the Marines are there.
Great defense by Ryung.
Get out of here, medevac. Ryung with the squad ready and waiting to deal with that. Now, looking at other stuff, both these players going to bio. Once again, not too surprising to see. They both look very comfortable with that type of play. However, Pult with only 1 engineering bay in this game, and Ryung with 2. So, you know, as this game goes along, Ryung is going to have that upgrade advantage as long as he stays consistent with making sure, of course, he has an armory, continues with those upgrades.
This Banshee, even without Cloak, being very annoying, getting another 2 SCV kills, and those are SCVs that Pult's like, you know what? I didn't want those barracks anyway. After the SCVs that are building them got picked off, he just cancels them. Saying, I don't want him there, and then he builds him behind his main base, which actually is kind of smart because he knows that Banshee might come back. So, you know, and they weren't very far along in construction, so we only took the mineral loss, which isn't very significant. It's like 37 minerals per barracks. A Brave Marine heading out from Ryung. It looks like it's going to walk into a dangerous zone.
Yes, and now Pult should be... I'd almost lift that Widow Mine up and move it somewhere else.
In fact, this is actually... He's really... Both these Widow Mines containing Ryung have been spotted by killing a Marine. So, an effective way to have your Widow Mine spotted is when it kills something.
Yeah, again, not too surprising to see these guys do this. It's a really cool play. We discussed it a little bit before. If you can just force a scan out of your opponent, you know, that's fantastic. And killing a Marine or 2, you're delaying an SCV from scouting, and just trying to keep your opponent contained a little bit. Another Marine gonna die.
Actually, both of them got a second Marine.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you're right.
Oh, did Ryung not see this one? Okay, he did shoot it. All right. Pult's pushing through the middle. You know, Pult never built a third CC. Instead, he just cranked up to like a bajillion barracks, and he's doing a 2-base power push. So right now, what he wants to do is not necessarily kill Ryung. I mean, it would be great if he could, but if he can set up a great position and do a lot of damage, that can compensate for having a much later third base.
Try to contain your opponent on 2 bases. Now, there are there are 2 different third bases you can generally take, one at the middle left and one at the top right. From Ryung's point of view, he's going to try to move his orbital command over to the top right-hand location, but that's exactly where Pult is moving. And this is a much longer map than Neoplanet S, so if Ryung wants to react by counterattacking, it's going to take much longer after identifying his opponent and having this position on his third base. Of course, giving Pult enough time to potentially respond to it.
Yes. Great moves by both players here.
I'd like those tanks to be a bit closer, I think. What do you think?
Ryung's identified his opponent's taking a very late third, so I think he's just being very conservative. He's kind of afraid that...
Well, Poltz tanks closer to the
Oh,
third.
Pulse. Oh, yes, yes.
So it can cover that ramp. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a good spot.
It would be. Well, it's too late now.
Yeah, he's going to back up.
Yeah, he pretty much has to back up. It's always hard to know exactly, like, positioning your tank marine army is always so hard because you have to balance getting into a position where you can really cut off a base, but also
Be able to retreat.
yeah, be able to retreat and not commit yourself too far because these tank marine armies this early in the game, if it gets cut off and stays around for too long, even if you stay siege, your opponent can actually be cost efficient breaking it by overwhelming numbers and hitting from multiple angles. So it's really tough positional game here, and Polt's doing it I think very well so far. He's still trying to find an opening on Ryung's base.
I feel like Ryung has the advantage right now. I mean, he has the upgrade advantage. 2-2 is halfway done. He's getting the third base down before his opponent. Remember, excuse me. Remember, Polt was investing a lot into 2 bases. The third command center, it's just now finishing. So Ryung is going to have a minor economic advantage going forward. He has way more harvesters, 65 to 47. So, you know, Polt is putting himself in a bit of a bind in this game, I think.
I love this sensor tower Ryung's building here by a third base. Once this gets up, he's going to be able to move his army out more aggressively because he won't have to worry about what's to the right side of the map and what could run into his third.
Polt's sending a drop in his opponent's main base here. There's not much here to defend.
Widowmine takes a hit, but Ryung's medevac is still hanging on. It's gonna, if he can kill the reactor on a starport, that's gonna be annoying. Meanwhile, Polt trying to do set up a position here, but Ryung should be able to hold off this main invasion pretty well.
Yeah, again, the sensor towers are huge for doing this, and Belshir Vestige is a map where your first is going to be very far away from your third, so if you're trying to defend both locations, it can be very difficult indeed. We see the drop continuing to do damage there in the main base of Polt. Ryung doing a great job with this drop, and Polt having a lot of trouble dealing with this. Pulling SCVs.
Oh, you never have to pull SCVs.
He has to get a ridiculous amount of damage done with this, but Ryung just seems prepared for everything. This might be a pretty quick game here.
It might. I mean,
Compared to
Ryung's losing a few Marines there, but he can afford to lose that one barracks.
She killed so many SCVs.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And Polt's still no third base for him. I mean, he's got the third orbital, but he's not confident enough to move out and actually take that. He also lost one of his only eBay. Or no, sorry, he had 2. He lost one of his eBays. So he's only getting a +2 weapons, and Ryung actually is just kind of...
She's going to roll over this. I mean, he has a 159 to 124 in supply. He can feel confident to do that. Polt once again going to the main. Oh, well, changing his mind.
He sees those 3 tanks.
Yeah.
He was like, if there were no Marines there, I could drop on top of them. But there was a few Marines there, too. And
again, Ryung is ahead in upgrades, too. 2-2 to 1-1 with 3-3 on the way. Polt is behind here. He has to make something happen. Now, TVT is a matchup where it's possible to come from behind. So right now, I would like to see Polt really focus on preventing drops from doing damage, securing that third base, and potentially taking his opponent off guard as he goes across the map. Because eventually Ryung has to attack to win, obviously. So if this is a map where you can potentially do that. You can take your opponent off guard if they're not very careful crossing the map.
it's also important to note that while Ryung's ahead in food, it's mostly in workers. So his army isn't massively larger than Polt's. And this is a circumstance where Ryung has an economic advantage, but not an army advantage. So what he wants to do is he wants to find ways to make even trades with the army, because if they both max out, Polt, of course, is going to have a stronger army. So Ryung's looking to initiate trades.
Yes.
But, of course, he has to be careful because it has to be a decent trade. It can't just be suits. Oh!
Polt just scanned that, by the way.
Going for a drop, but Polt's going to be a little out of position, I think.
Oh, the tank's going to siege up, and they're going to be in range of that ramp. A lot of damage being done to these Marines. Polt has to split those up a little bit more effectively. Polt throwing down the GG, realizing the impossibility of the situation, and Ryung takes a fast game 3. And I say fast because the first 2 games are like 45 minutes.
A 19-minute game is fast with these 2
Yeah.
masterminds playing. What a beautiful game what a beautiful set of 3 games by both players there.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely phenomenal, super high-level TBT action there. And if you guys didn't enjoy that series, then you're following the wrong game, because there's not much else StarCraft has to offer. That's one of the best series I've seen.
Of course, guys, we're watching the last group of the round of 16, and with that victory, Ryung comes one step closer to advance into the round of 8. Of course, he's going to play Alive in the winners match. Again, Violet unfortunately had to forfeit due to visa issues, unable to get to New York City. So it's going to be Alive versus Ryung coming up next, and Polt is going to drop down to the final match of the night. So basically what's going to happen is Ryung is going to play Alive. The loser of that will play Polt and the winner of that game will advance to the round of 8, and of course the loser of that game plays Polt, and then the winner of that game advances to the round of 8. Hopefully that makes sense, but guys, again, congrats to Ryung, going to be advancing to the winner's match, and coming up next, we're going to have Ryung versus Alive. You're watching WCS America, round of 16, the final day. Stay tuned.